Today we will talk about dynamic host configuration protocol, and I will explain about how it works and why it is very important in networking, and also briefly will explain you how do you configure Cisco router for DHCP configurations. So let us now understand what is DHCP. DHCP stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. When it comes to networking, when you want to assign IP addresses to the PCs, there are two methods of IP assigning. You can assign the IP addresses manually. That method we call static IP addressing. Another method, using DHCP server. This is we call automatic IP addressing. So when a PC connects to a router or to the network, it automatically get the network specifications or information just from the routers. So if it gets automatically from the router, and then we call it DHCP systems or DHCP IP assigning. So the primary purpose of DHCP DHCP is to assign the IP addresses to the devices automatically and reducing manual configuration and avoiding IP conflict. It will help a lot when it comes to network scenario. When you are doing a manual IP assigning, you may sometimes duplicate the IP addresses on a different devices, or it can be duplicated on a different systems. But automatic IP addresses will not duplicate them, so therefore it will avoid the IP conflict in that systems. So it is more helpful and centralized systems when it comes to a network. So most preferred method is DHCP IP assigning systems. So this process, there are four steps is here. There are four steps of process are there. That process we call it DORA systems. We call it DORA system. D stand for discovery and O stand for offer. R stand for request and A stand for acknowledgements. So this short form we used to call it as a DORA systems. So I will explain how this DORA system works now. And let us take an example here. In this example, look at this one is as a router or a DHCP server, or we can take it as a router or DHCP server. And there is a network. In the network, there is a PC wants to join on the network. So when a PC wants to join on the network, so in the PC plugged in with a cable or with a Wi-Fi, the PC will send a reduced ARP message or reduced broadcast message. Will send or will send a broadcast message to the available DHCP server. That message we call it as DHCP discover. So when a device joins the network, it sends the DHCP request or DHCP discover um, message to the DHCP server. This is we call DHCP discover, and the router or the server will then offer an IP addresses. So we'll offer an IP address with the network parameters, and that is we call as an offer. And if the PC agreed to um, accept the offer offered by the DHCP servers, we call it as request. Then the device and the request message is asking to lease the offered IP addresses. And finally, the DHCP server send the acknowledgement with a lease agreement, and that is we call as acknowledgement. Finally, the DHCP server sent the acknowledgement confirming the lease and providing additional configuration details like DHCP server and gate traces, and this is we call as acknowledgements. There are four steps of processes. Um One is a discovery, and offer, request, and acknowledgements. Of discovery, actually, discovery messages are sent by the client to the DHCP server. So the client is our PC. So this PC is sending a broadcast message to the available, routers or the servers. That is we call as discovery. And if a router responds to that discovery message, then we call it as offer, and the offer containing the IP addresses, available IP address information. And our PC or a client, accepting that means it is sending a request to provide the IP details, or it is sending to the DSP servers to provide on a lease agreement, and that request we call it as request. And if the server responds with a lease agreement, then we call it as our acknowledgements. So this is how DHCP server works. And also we're going to configure and show you how do you configure this process in a Cisco routers. So I will open a Cisco packet tracer on a Cisco packet tracer now. I will configure and show in these configurations. I will take a one. I will take one 2811 routers and 2960 switch, and also I will connect some PCs here, and then we'll configure and show you. In this process, the first steps, you need to define the DHCP pool. So uh, here you have to type it as DHCP pool, and you can type it any name here. I have typed it here is my pool. And then you need to define the network address. This is the network address 192.168. 1.0 is the network address, and the interface number, or the router interface number that you are connected, or we call it as a gateway. And DNS is a domain name servers, which is to translate our web addresses into the IP addresses. So these informations are very important to add it. And finally, we'll say exit, and that's how we configure it. And let me show you this one on a Cisco packet tracer as an example. I open a new Cisco packet tracer here. Let us go to the router. So let me choose a router to 811 routers. So, and also I'll take a one switch, and the switch 2960, and also I'll take a PC here. To get the PCs, I'll hold the control key and click on the PC. Then I'm able to click number of time, to keep a number of PCs. And the same method, I will take the cable. So on the cable, I will choose the automatic cable, press and hold the control key and click on it, and then uh, you can connect your PCs by the automatic cable, and system will choose the automatic cable here. So I'll just connect it here, and also I'll loop a one cable from the switch to the router. So in this router, there are two interfaces. The first interface is fast Ethernet 0, and there is another one more interface, fast Ethernet 0/1, but we are not connected to anything else there. We are connected only to the fast Ethernet 0/0. And then we have a 24 port switch, and in that switch we have connected 5 PCs. Now, to configure our DHCP information here, I'm going to use a network information like 192, 168, and 1.0/24 network. I'm going to use it 0/24. In this network, I'll assign this interface, or I can say the fast Ethernet 0/0 interface IP address, or I can call it as a default gateway IP address. Is going to be 192.168.1.1, and for PCs, the IP address will start from here, 192.168.1.2. So same way, the IP addresses will be assigned to the PCs by automatically. The number will be like this, and then we can take it another number here. It's going to be 192.168.1.4, and one more IP address. I'm going to keep it 192.168.1.5, and then take one more IP address, and that IP address will be 192.168.1.6. Anyway, uh, this is the network informations. I'm going to add it. So since it is 24, and the subnet will be 255 255.0. So with that said, let me configure now. So we'll take to the router. So I log into the router and go to the CLI, and it asking to you, would you like to initiate the configurations here? I'm gonna say no and press the enter key to start it. And to log in into the privilege mode, you can type it as enable and enter, and then we'll log into the configuration mode. I'll go to the configurations, T for terminal, so configure terminal, and this is the time to assign the IP addresses for our interface. First, you need to make it up. So our interface is set down stage now. It shows in a red color. So we need to make it up. So the interface name, I need to type it here, int interface, fast ethernet 0/0, and you should type it as what, no shutdown. So it will make our interface up. Now the interface turn in the green color, meaning the status is up. So you can again enter it, and you can type it now, IP address. The IP address as the default gateway 192.168.1.1, and the subnet mask will be 255.255.255.0, and then you can exit, and one more time exit. So we have finished the configuration of what, assigning IP address to our interface, and next we're going to assign the DHCP configuration for our PCs. To configure that one, we need to assign, or we need to enable the services on the router. So to do that, let me go back to the router again. So let me go back to the router again and say enter here now one more time. So you are in the privilege mode. Let us change into configuration mode. So let us go log into the configure, key for terminal, and enter. And to assign the IP or DHCP server, you have to type it as what, IP DHCP pool, and then you need to type your pool name here. So let me choose the pool name as a LAN or local area 1. So I'll type it as local area 1, and then next you need to type it as a network. Network is going to be 192.168.1.0 and 255.255.255.0, and then you need to type the default gateway of your router, and that is 192.168.1.1, and then DNS, domain name service, which is to translate your web addresses into the IP addresses. You will type it as your Google address, Google server, which is going to be to 8.8.8.8, and finally you will say exit, and one more time exit. And it's very simple. It is configured now. So we have configured the and enabled the IP services on our routers. So our PCs now easily can configure with an IP address. Currently, if you see here, the PC doesn't have any IP addresses here. If you look at here, the fast Ethernet 0, the status is up, but there is no IP address is set. IP version 4, there is no IP address is set. Let us go to the PC and go to the desktop here and take IP address, and you can select your DHCP pool now, and then you can see here you got an IP address with 192.168.1.2 and the subnet mask and the default gateway as well as the DNS domain name service. Now our DHCP request is successful, and same like that we can configure all our PCs as connected to the router. You can connect here and request for a DHCP, and it will be successful. So this is how we configure DHCP server information to our Cisco routers and the switches. I hope you understood it, and we'll do a final test, the packet transferring or not. To do the packet testing here, once I connected all my client IPs, I'll take a packet. This is a PDU. So PDU at simple PDU here, select a packet and click on one PC to another PC, and our status says it is successful. It is successful. I hope you understood it, and enjoyed my sessions, and thank you for watching.